Welcome in, everybody. Exciting stuff to shake up things mid-season. We've got the director's take, mixing up the meta in mid-season. This was released yesterday, March 7th. Of course, today, March 8th. Before I even dive into this, I'll share my thoughts and things. I'm just like Winston right now, a little fixing of the glasses. I have loved this Season 9. I think Season 9 has been super, super impactful for Overwatch 2, and I think it's kind of given it like a new breath of life. So I don't even know what this says just yet, but I'm stoked to read it because I think Blizzard is taking a step in the right direction, like a huge step in the right direction when it comes to Overwatch. So can't wait to read it. Well, enough talk. Let's dive right in. So starting off, hello, wonderful people, and welcome to the mid-season 9 Director's Take! Exclamation point. Thank you. Very exciting. This season had the most significant changes to the game that we've made in a long time. When we launched Season 9 in February, we wanted to make sure to keep an eye on your feedback and react to what we saw. Okay. We've had 2 patches so far, and we have another one, which is quite the stunner, coming up next week. Okay, sick. Coming in next week. Let's get into that. No, wait. Let's talk about where we're at and then get into that. Okay. Straightforward so far. They made sure to listen to feedback, so they say. So, like, maybe they're, making those adjustments. So, like, this is us suggesting these things, and hopefully they listen. Keep going. The changes made in this season were designed to address multiple issues in the game, based largely in part on your feedback. Your feedback. We're happy with how these modifications have shifted the game, but there are 2 areas we want to improve a bit. The damage passive, and how some individual heroes have landed after the shakeup. We think the direction we've headed in is correct, but agree that some changes still need to be ironed out. So they're probably talking about 20% might be a lot. I think the DPS passive is great for the game and for DPS, of course. But maybe 20% is a little egregious. I think it might be a little too much. So maybe they're tuning that a little bit. We'll see. So let's start with the DPS passive. It's had quite a big impact on the game. It was designed to push our damage heroes to the forefront of the fight. In terms of securing kills, it's definitely doing this. Overwatch is about eliminating the opponents and sending them back to spawn. So we think it's healthy for damage heroes to have a large impact here. But we may have pushed it a bit too far. There can be moments where it feels a bit too dangerous, even as a tank, to expose yourself, or where your health can burn down quicker than expected while being healed. Okay, yeah, so they're probably talking about tweaking it, which is what the thing that all the tank players are saying. Like, it's been crazy for tank players, in this season because you lose health so fast and you don't get it back as quickly because of that passive. One goal of the recent health increase was to soften some of the burst damage in the game. This is one of those effects that can be very difficult to tune just right. So we're going to take a small step back in the next patch and lessen the healing reduction from 20% to 15%. Okay, we'll keep an eye on it and go from here. I think that's great. 15 might even be too much. I'm curious. Of course, that, like they said, they're going to take a small step and they'll make an adjustment based on that. 15 might even be a lot. Like 10% could be the sweet spot, but we'll see. We'll see. Like that's pretty minuscule, but it's going to make a huge impact on that in particular. So like, sounds good to me. I think tuning it down a little bit, but still giving DPS that feeling of like, yes, I am helping whenever I'm poking or damaging any hero because they get that damage or healing reduction for 2 seconds. So this is A-okay in my eyes. With balance, we're touching roughly half the heroes on the roster in this patch. The power of heroes moved around a lot this season, and while we think the type of changes can be healthy for the game, we'd still like to make sure that all heroes feel viable. We'll release the full set of patch notes in a few days, but I'd like to get into a few more notable changes that we're making. Okay, cool. Notable changes. On the support side, we're making a fairly significant buff to Ana's grenade. Its damage and healing will move from 60 to 90 health to give her more self-survivability. Okay, that makes sense. Because they've nerfed her nades so many times now at this point, so it takes much longer to get it, and when you throw it, it has way less impact, especially now with this healing reduction, this DPS passive. So it's like you kind of need a little bit more for that burst heal for her to be a little bit more viable, especially this season, because she went from S tier down to like I'd argue B tier. Still a good hero, but definitely kind of lost her place a bit in terms of like meta. Ana is an interesting hero and one of the most played of the entire game, so we're hoping that this adjustment brings her to a place where she feels viable but not dominant. Okay, so like, well, take her from B and like maybe move her to A. We're also making a few adjustments to LIFEWEAVER A to help with his healing burst potential. His maximum health will increase from 70 to 80. Whoa, okay, 70 to 80, with a maximum charge increase from 1 to 1.15 seconds. Along with the reduced damage roll passive, we think both he and Mercy will be more reliable moving forward. You know, that's kind of interesting because, like, I would agree. LIFEWEAVER and Mercy were the two that got hit the hardest this season because of this healing reduction, because their main play style is like heal botting. Well, LIFEWEAVER's main play style is heal botting. Mercy arguably should be, blue beaming a little more. But she still relies on healing because like when you have a Mercy pocketing you, you expect to stay up, and if you're being shot at by DPS, that's probably not going to be the case. So it's interesting that Mercy didn't get changed, but LIFEWEAVER did, and then they still are changing the DPS passive. So like LIFEWEAVER might actually be like pretty goated in this next season because he's already so like they've adjusted the healing DPS passive down to 15%, and they've upped LIFEWEAVER's healing. So he might actually fall into a really good spot. We'll see where Mercy's at. Again, she's still got blue beam, so she's fine. And that's inherently just going to help her anyway with when she does heal. So like I'm excited to see what this has, but I'm very happy to see that a hero that I really like is getting buffed. Let's carry on. Doomfist and Maga are two of the tanks getting a tune-up. Meteor Strike's minimum damage will increase from 15 to 50. While this might not seem like a big change, the amount of damage this ultimate does scales from the edge of its effects to the center and should result in a lot more guaranteed damage. Ultimately, we want Meteor Strike to give Doom or his team the ability to follow up and secure eliminations more reliably. Okay. Yeah, because you never really use Doom's ult to like confirm a kill. Typically, you use it as an escape route. And now that it gives you some healing while you're up in the air from Meteor Strike, it's a lot better. But now that it'll give a little bit more damage. So it's not talking about the center, because the center is like almost a guaranteed kill, like a big hunk of damage. I don't know the numbers. But they're talking about like that outer radius, where if you land somewhere within that, not in the center, but out on the outer ring of it, it'll give you more, you'll take more damage. So 15 to 50, that's a pretty big jump, but I'm excited to see where that lands. Doomfist is in a pretty decent spot. Yeah. I hate fighting a Doom. I don't play Doom, so like that's okay with me. I'm not gonna experience any of that, but I'm probably gonna have to deal when I play a Doom. Let's carry on. Maga is getting changes to his cardiac overdrive ability. Its duration will decrease from 4 to 5 seconds. Okay. And its cooldown will decrease from 12 to 10 seconds. Additionally, it will fill his passive overhealth by 100, and we want the ability to be more reliable and more consistent, give Maga additional survivability. Maga will also receive a buff to his overrun. The stomp damage will increase from 45 to 60. I mean, that's great for Maga players. I think that's helpful. This is interesting that they're going to decrease the duration, but then you get it more consistently. 2 seconds faster, and will fill his passive over health by 100. So he that means he gets like a buff of health and like right off the gate, and then he can still suck more health from whatchamacallit, just from his cardiac overdrive. And he gets it back faster. So that seems helpful. And then his stomp damage does a little bit more, which is fine. You don't typically go for the stomp in itself. You get it when you can, of course, but like it's usually like getting a place faster, an escape route. So yeah, I do think this will help his survivability, like they're saying. So we'll see how it goes. I think Maga is just like a little bit of a brain dead character. So like I don't know. I don't see too much Maga. He's fine. He's here to stay. He's a new tank. And I think they're just trying to fine tune him, of course, in the new season. But carry on. A tank we're not touching this patch is Wrecking Ball, but we have a small rework coming to our lovable yet deranged hamster in Season 10. Oh, that's fun. He's in a good spot. I don't think he needs to be changed. He's probably going to be even better now that like the DPS passive is going to be changing a little, so like that's cool. But nice to see that they're planning out some reworks with him, like a small one. Expect all these changes and more to go live for our mid-season update next Tuesday, March 12th. So we've got 4 days until then. Okay, we'd like to reiterate that we'll be watching the game and listening to your feedback when these changes go live and react accordingly. In fact, we're already talking about some of the modifications that we'll be making in Season 10. We're also going to be running our next quick play, Hacked, later this season. This one is called Double Trouble, and it removes the one hero limitation in-game. Yikes, okay. Roll queue will still be active, but this means that players can choose 2 of the same heroes for both DPS and support roles. The hero limit was something that was implemented in Overwatch early into the original launch. At the time, we didn't have roll queue in the game, and players could create a team of 5 Winstons and a support. We called this strategy the Quinston, and it won our first internal tournament. That's actually crazy, and I'm excited for it. I mean, like, quick play Hacked is something that's like silly, and they throw some fun to shake things up a bit every once in a while. So like, this is harmless, and it's also just fun to do. It's gonna be really silly. Like, if you're somebody that takes quick play seriously, first off, stop, because you don't need to. Quick play is meant for the casual play. So they're trying to stir up the pot a little bit. So like, I am actually all for it. It's harmless. It's fun. I'll probably play a couple games, and probably double mercy or something silly like that, so we can, I don't know, heal and damage boost a hero and make him invincible. It's gonna be silly. However, now that we do have role queue in game, the possibility of creating comps like this is gone, giving players more freedom in which hero they choose and more creativity to putting comps together could be great. We can't wait to see what you come up with. That's it for this update. We're looking forward to the next week's patch. Let's make a great game. Okay. I'm actually really happy with this. One, LIFEWEAVER's buffed. I think LIFEWEAVER needed a buff because of the DPS passive, so happy about that for my hero in particular that I like playing. Happy that DPS passive is getting a little bit of a tune-up. I think it's going to be help for the survivability of the game, so I'm actually really stoked about it. So far, no complaints, really. I think they're making all the right choices. They're trying to make their their new tank a little bit more reliable for those that want to play it. They have patches coming out for Wrecking Ball, but they're not coming out you know, this next mid-season patch. So like we have some fun things already lined up. Ana's got a buff. Anything else? Doom buff, of course. I think that's great. I think they're doing an awesome job. But that's it. That's it for the director's take. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But take good care of yourself. Stay beautiful. And I will see you all next time. Thank you.